Welcome Aries to your in-depth year 2025 astrology forecast for the ascendant, the sun or the moon. I'm going to briefly outline how I'm going to structure the video. I'm going to take a look at the eclipses at the end of 2024. They provide an influence through the early months of the new year. At the turn of the year, I'll share with you your solar return, which provides a backdrop for the following 12 months. Particularly influential is that Mars, your ruler, is in retrograde. What does that mean? We're going to have a shift with the nodal axis, which I'll explore from the 11th of January. But we do also have some activity early in February. Venus moves into your sign, followed by Mercury early in March. But both then go into retrogrades. What does that mean? We're going to see from the 20th of March the vernal equinox, and the sun returns to your sign, and that ushers in cardinal quadrant 1. But it's a really exciting event this year because Mercury and Venus are so much in the mix. But the 29th sees the final solar eclipse in your sign in the present eclipse series. It's hugely powerful and provides a backdrop for the next 6 months. Very important for your sign in particular. It's followed by the arrival of the dreamy, drifting, but also spiritual influence of Neptune in your sign on the 30th of March. It's going to be with you for just under 8 months this year. Now, Neptune takes 164 years to go through its entire cycle, so we're up to about 163. What does this mean? But also Neptune links with Pluto and is going to be followed by Saturn, the planet of structures, which returns to your sign on the 25th of May, linking with Neptune, but also back to Pluto. Pluto's about big shifts and transformations in terms of how we all connect, but for you particularly, it's around friendships and your future hopes. We have Jupiter moving in early June into the feeling sign of Cancer. What will that mean for your home and family needs in the following year? But on the 7th of July, Uranus picks up into the sign of Gemini, but it angles back to Saturn and Neptune, but also to Pluto. So we have a grand minor trine, a magic triangle, which is fantastically powerful, but particularly for your sign. In September, 2 more eclipses, but again we're looking here at the angles between your 6th and 12th houses, so the practical sphere competing with the spiritual dimension. Then as the year comes to a close, we have the autumnal equinox and then the winter solstice to bring the cosmic curtain down. I'm going to go through all of this for you to show you what an amazingly powerful potential year 2025 has for your sign in particular. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. If you're new to my channel, it's lovely to have your company. If you have any thoughts, please share them. This is very much a community. If you're a returning visitor, it's great to have your company once more, and all your views and interactions are truly appreciated. About 50% of people who enjoy my videos regularly are yet to subscribe. If that's you, please help the channel to thrive. Click that sub button and also the bell notification symbol. Please take advantage of my unique year 2025 personal horoscope forecast promotion. If you order in 24, you'll get the rest of that year free, but in my special package of 30% off, you also get your life roadmap report. This will help you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far, get a much more intimate understanding of how these have played out and how you can work with them future forwards. But with your forecast as well, it's a fantastic amount of information, it's great value, totally unique for each person it's produced for. Please see the link below for more. If you'd like to talk to me personally, I am a consulting astrologer. Please check out my testimonials below. I don't edit these. As they come in, I share as is. Relationships are incredibly important for us all, whether we want one or not. We have one with ourselves, our neighbours, our friends, our family members, and our colleagues. If you'd like your relationships to work better, but use the power of Western tropical astrology, check out matchful.me. This app combines serious astrology with psychological profiling. It's not based on sun sign analysis. You can enjoy it by clicking on the link below, and if you type in Patrick in the coupon form, you'll also get an additional discount. So Aries, let's first look at the two eclipses towards the end of year 2024. On the 18th of September, we have a new eclipse series ushered in between the signs of Pisces and Virgo. But the Pisces lunar eclipse is very close to the shimmering energies of Neptune, which has been tucked away in a very sensitive part of your situation since 2012. As we end 2024 and go into 25, that combination can see your perceptions even more enriched. The key is tuning into your sixth sense, but also being guided by it. But then on the 2nd of October, we have a solar eclipse in the air sign of Libra, but it's very close to the planet of talk and thought, Mercury. Libra is very much about finding the balance, but it can also be very much to do with relating. The combination of these two eclipses suggests if you tune into your instincts, but also up the level of interaction and conversation you have, and most of all sharpening up your listening skills, those can be a real asset to you as you make your way into the new year. Now, the next big event to share with you is the solar return. That provides a backdrop energy for the following 12 months. We take a picture of the exact moment where all the planets are as the new year begins. The big takeout, your ruler Mars in retrograde. So on the screen now, I'm showing that. We need to be mindful of the position of the luminaries. The sun, as ever, is in Capricorn at this time of the year, but you'll see that the moon is close to the sun too. They actually came into an exact alignment on the 30th of December with a new moon. So the midpoint between the sun and the moon is 18 degrees Capricorn. So in terms of your life purpose this year, having the moon so high in the sky suggests that your emotional responses can be very much guided towards things like property, providing support and encouragement to the people who are important to you, but also it could see you very focused on your goals and ambitions. But of course everyone has different goals and ambitions. Yours could be doing voluntary work in your local community. Someone else's could be very much to do with making a success at work. But you can see also that Mars in its retrograde is hosted by the glorious Leo. Mars loves being in Leo. It's terrific for creatives, and if you have got ideas and talents and artistry that you want to showcase in 2025, Mars here is a great asset to you. Mars draws admiration in Leo, but it's in an opposition to Pluto. That opposition can give you enormous willpower this year, particularly if it is to showcase those talents. But also be aware that Pluto's in the sign of the collective. If you push too hard in order to get the attention you may crave, you may arouse some resistance. What's going to help you, however, Aries, is the North Node, just in the last moments of its occupation in your sign, forges an enviable link to both positions, both to Mars and also to Pluto. The North Node saying to you that if you follow your instincts, but also can add thrust, self-belief through Mars, but you have a clear idea of your direction and what your long-term plan should be, you can make all of that work well for you. It's just that Mars's retrograde suggests things might not go quite as quickly as you would like. Now, I'd also like to draw your attention to Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, of course, but it can, through its rulership of Virgo, be very much about precision and cool analysis. It's in the sign of Sagittarius, suggesting you are going to be thinking about travel this year, and also maybe widening your horizons, perhaps through learning a language, gaining a new qualification. But essentially it is in its detriment in Sagittarius. If you see on the other side of the heavens, we've got Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, where Mercury is, and Mercury rules Gemini, where Jupiter is. So they're both in detriment, but they are also T-squared by Saturn in the cosmic long grass in your 12th house, along with the dreamy energy of Neptune. So when it comes to conversations this year, but anything to do with travel, but also what you're trying to promote, just be aware of what your deeper, perhaps less conscious motivations are, because that's what Saturn's doing. And Saturn's like a handbrake, particularly to Jupiter. When Saturn and Jupiter are squaring, the more optimistic growth potential of Jupiter is offset by the more limiting energies of Saturn. And that could come from a little bit of lack of self-confidence, or perhaps not quite believing in what you're trying to do, or not quite being in touch with those deeper emotional needs. Now, Saturn and Jupiter reached a peak in their square on the 24th of December. If you recall, they also clashed in August 2024. They're going to clash again this year on the 15th of June, but this time Saturn will be in Aries and Jupiter will be in Cancer. Essentially, the Saturn-Jupiter square occurs around every 7 years. It's a big deal. So if you are trying to promote something, you are traveling somewhere, you are having some major discussions with both Mercury and Jupiter in afflicted positions, and also Saturn influencing both, it's important that when you do say things, you can back it up in a very precise and factual way, because one of the things that can happen with Jupiter and Mercury oppositions is that our enthusiasm can kind of run away with us. Now, there's a great link, ironically, between Mercury and Chiron in your sign. If you are someone who's wanting to work on your identity, which the North Node and the Eclipse series has been pushing you to do over the last 18 months in particular, Mercury's link to Chiron suggests you may talk to someone who has a lot of knowledge to share, who can help you in that pursuit. But Venus, the planet of relating, is in the very friendly Aquarius. So there's going to be some social moments this year, but it is squaring with Uranus, which continues its journey through till the 7th of July in the part of your scope to do with everyday resources, which means that can still be a rather unpredictable area. So if you're aligning in a group situation where there are shared responsibilities or investment, it could prove to be a little bit unsettled. Venus squaring Uranus could also see you want to break free of any bonds or relationships which you feel are inhibiting you in any way. And it's also possibly the case that there could be some connections in quite a raunchy way with a friend during this year, but whether it would be a lasting relationship is another matter. So to summarise, your solar return, which provides a backdrop for the whole year, sees you very driven to express your creativity. It also gives you a lot of willpower. It could see you quite amorous. We do have a very ambitious 10th house for you. There is an opportunity for you to communicate a lot, but it needs to be communication that's well thought through, well researched, and truly represents who you are. There could be some choppiness around friendships, but there could also be a little bit of a fling. Someone in your social group or someone you encounter could make your pulse race at some point. But the North Node in your sign does give you an opportunity to really embrace the potential to boost your identity in a way which gives you a creative outlet through the drive and thrust of Mars and the long-term changes that Pluto can stimulate in our situation. Now, please stay with me as I go through the year. The big takeout Aries, is that on the 6th of January, Mars, your ruler, inverts into the sign of Cancer. Mars in Cancer is not its best location, but if you're wanting to get stuff done around the house, you're thinking of working from home, you can use the drive that Mars gives you to really ramp up your efforts. But if you're hoping for someone to come in and do some contracting work, it could prove to be a bit frustrating. Mars in Cancer can be niggly, a bit defensive. Just be conscious of that. On the 11th, that's when the nodal axis, the true nodes, they invert back into Pisces North and Virgo South. And that's reflective of that lunar eclipse that we had of the 18th of September, because the nodal axis works in conjunction with the eclipse series. So you've got a big shift going on this year. On one hand, Neptune and Saturn are going to move into your sign, ushering in the potential for a new future. But in another way, the North Node is asking you to still work at those deeper themes in your situation to do with perhaps loss, past hurts, or really expanding your spiritual and psychological consciousness. But that takes us to the early part of February. On the 4th, Venus moves into your sign. If you have been going through some soul searching around a relationship, it helps you to move into the moment. But on February the 24th, Mars goes direct in the sign of Cancer. But on March the 2nd, Venus goes into a retrograde initially in your sign, but is augmented by Mercury on March the 3rd, speeding into Aries. This is interesting stuff because Venus in our own sign is an opportunity to perhaps present ourselves in a bit of a different way in terms of our fashion sense, but also if you are a creative or you are someone who enjoys crafting, perhaps Venus retrograde can just see you dig down deep, perhaps to get more from that vault of talent that lies deep within you. And Mercury darting into your own sign is certainly pushing you to get on the front foot for anything that's fresh or new. But March the 20th sees the spring equinox. The sun returns to your sign, and also it's the beginning of the Western tropical astrological year. A clearly very important moment because it ushers in cardinal quadrant 1. That 13-week period, very much about initiation. But on this year's event, the sun, Venus and Mercury are all in your sign. So despite the fact that Venus is in a retrograde, if you're wanting to really seize the moment in the following 6 months to showcase what makes you sensationally different, that's certainly a chance. But Neptune is tucked up so just behind the position of all of them. Being in touch with your senses and your instincts is very much important if you are embarking on anything new. Now on March the 27th, Venus inverts back into Pisces. If there is a relationship which is bumping along the bottom a little bit, this really could give you some serious food for thought. But then we have on the 30th, Neptune gliding in to your sign for just under 8 months. Now Neptune has a 164 degree cycle in total, so it's coming back to you after 163 years. So this is massive stuff. If we think that Neptune is very much about those spiritual dynamics, but your sign is very much about initiation and freshness, how can you combine the two principles to your advantage? Well, perhaps if Neptune's journey through your 12th house has created at times a lot of soul searching, or you have become more conscious of who's failed or let you down, you have an opportunity now to start to create a clearer sense of what's important to you in terms of creativity and expressing the more sensitive side of your being. However, on March the 29th, we do have the final solar eclipse in the series in your sign. And this has a conjunction between Venus, now back in Pisces, and also Neptune. So again, if there is a relationship that you don't see fitting into your long-term future, it doesn't have to just be a romantic tie. This is a really delicate point. If there is someone that you don't feel that you can get that clarity from, which can be a problem with Neptune, or they seem very alluring and very mystical and very appealing, but you never seem to really get to the bottom of what they're about, it's possible that you're going to want to go forwards, really shoring up your need to protect your individual situation. Now, on April the 15th, Mars hustles and bustles back into Leo. That's going to be a big moment for you. It's going to make you feel so much more positive, I feel. It's going to give you a boost of sexual attraction. Don't be surprised if people are drawn more to you. But also, from the 25th of April through to the first week of May, we do have an exact conjunction between Venus and Neptune. If you've still been struggling with some kind of transition around a relationship, I feel Mars punching into Leo will help. But by the Taurus new moon, which occurs on the 27th of April, that's squaring up with Pluto in your sector of future hopes. So if it is around finances or it is around different values that there is an issue, be it in that relationship or any other involvement you have, you may need to take some firm decisions at this stage. Now, May the 25th sees Saturn make its way into your sign for 3 months and 8 days. But June also sees Jupiter make its way into the sign of Cancer. And we also have the summer equinox on the 20th. But I just want to say that the combination between Saturn and Neptune really goes on from the last week of May through June, all of July and August. But at the same time, it is going back in the sextile to Pluto. Now, as Uranus moves on the 7th of July into the sign of Gemini, that's when we have the magic triangle created. So it's a minor grand trine, but we get the energy of Uranus arcing towards Saturn, but also Neptune, but forging a wonderful trine to Pluto. If you are an early born Aries, I feel that the energy of all these changes is going to be absolutely tangible. It's going to give you a sense of a great excitement, I feel, that things are really developing in a very exciting way. But remember, we did have Mercury move into your sign on the 3rd of March. And from mid-March to the first week of April, Mercury was retracing its steps. But you then have an opportunity, as this cluster of energy starts to develop, to really power forwards in the most dynamic way. Now, if you are wanting to make a move in terms of where you live, Jupiter moving into Cancer is lovely because Jupiter is exalted here. It loves to be here. And if that initial chart at the start of the year with the moon so high in the sky has piqued your aspiration to live somewhere different, that suits your needs much more, or you would like to expand your family, then that Jupiter transition into the sign of Cancer will really be lovely. I'd just like to tell you, on the 18th of July 2026, as Jupiter moves into Leo, we're going to have an even more sensational set of influences between the position of Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn and Neptune, and also Pluto. So we're entering a complete new epoch. However, in terms of your situation, how can you use the energy of Saturn and Neptune in your sign to your advantage? Well, Neptune can be very much about inspiration, but Saturn can be very much about structures. The challenge here is to bring the spiritual insights that you've gained in recent years into a more material reality. It's also important to balance your enthusiasm with the undoubted persistence and patience that Saturn demands of us. Sometimes that application just as important as anything else. But we can have the dreams that Neptune promotes, but it's also important to still keep that sense of discipline and work at things in a step-by-step way. But I feel having the final solar eclipse in your sign plus having Neptune and Saturn entering your sign and coexisting through to the end of August, but also picking up on the energy of Uranus moving into the speedy energy of Gemini from the 7th of July, can just give you such a spark of enthusiasm. So don't be surprised if you start to connect with some different and fresh people this year in a way which really is very stimulating indeed. You also could find yourself coming into a leadership role as Saturn forges the link with Pluto. Don't underestimate your talent in this regard. It rather frustrates me that people tend to characterize Aries people as, yeah, they dive into a situation, show a load of thrust and then lose interest and walk off to let someone else pick up the pieces. Well, it's a bit like an originator of a new business idea. Not everybody is designed to be the daily operative. Some people do see the big picture. They also have the courage to take the risk, to take that step into the unknown. That's Aries people. And yes, you may then want to go on to something that engages you, because the daily process, the management, is not the same as the initiation of the idea. So we can't compare the celestial apples and pears. We have to be honest about what your talents are. But your ability to see trends is definitely something that can be forged in a very meaningful way with Saturn's alliance to Pluto. In general, for all of us, there are going to be some very radical ideas that start to wash around next year, but particularly from July the 7th. It could be to do with communication systems, because obviously Gemini is about fast communication. We're seeing things like chips being embedded in people and all this kind of stuff. But from your viewpoint, don't underestimate how your instincts spot those trends, and that's where you can really come into your own this year. But on August the 29th, you have a supreme opportunity for a relationship progress. Venus, the planet of relating, goes into its second home sign of Libra. If there is someone who's really catching your imagination, the next 3 weeks is a great chance for you to manifest your desires. So on September the 7th, we have another of the eclipse series between Virgo and Pisces. This one in Pisces, it's also conjunct the North Node. So you're really being asked to dive into any remaining energies that are still washing around in the back of your situation, where you don't feel totally assured, or there are some anxieties or doubts, or perhaps still something from your past that you're working through and letting go. But September the 21st sees a solar eclipse in Virgo, which is brilliant to apply precision to anything that you're trying to achieve. But with Saturn back in Pisces, balancing that psychological and practical dimension is going to be the key here. September the 22nd sees the autumnal equinox. It's all about relationships for the next 13 weeks. It's a chance for you to use the sensitivity that Neptune's been engendering within you to really relate to people very skillfully as you make your journey towards the end of this year. So you can see, Aries, this is a mighty year, one of the mightiest years I can remember. But what it does do is give you the opportunity to move into the moment, even if it's not completely entrenched, and you'll have to go through the process again in 2026 because of the retrogrades that impact Saturn, Neptune and Uranus. You do have an idea, a window into your future, and it's one heck of a future. Do seize it with all your might. Have a great 2025. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care and goodbye for now.